Yeah. So
doing zone, honey.
Okay, so first kind of go.
No double chin.
No double chin. You don't have double chin. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, let me.
Just a bit. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited about today's video. I've just had so much fun. I have a special guest on my channel. This is my friend Jessica.
Hello.
Jessica and I have been friends for a long time. We used to work together, and she is a big YouTube watcher, and she actually brought this idea to me a couple months ago. She watches Stephanie Lange. Is that how you say her name?
I think so.
And Stephanie did this really cool video where she had, I guess it was a friend of hers on, and she's a makeup lover. So her friend did one side of her face, and then Stephanie, the makeup artist, did the other side of the face. So Jessica's like, you should do this on your channel. And I'm like, you're totally right, I should, and you should be my model.
Okay.
Yay! So we just had a ton of fun. Jessica did this side of the face.
Right.
Yep, and then I did this side of the face. And so I challenged Jessica, or I challenged myself really. Instead of picking the products that I wanted to use, I just told her to bring her makeup and the stuff that she uses already, and we worked from that. So pretty much I used the exact same products that she used. I did add a couple things into the routine to show her alternative options, but for the most part, this is all her makeup. I think it came out really pretty.
Yeah, your side's definitely better.
Well, your side is good too.
But this is great because I do love makeup. I'm not a professional, and so it's really cool to see how you would take the same things that I would use, but just make them look better.
A little different. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on my channel.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so before we get started, I just want to mention if you're not subscribed to my channel, please click that subscribe button and let's get started. All right, so now you go ahead and jump back in with your makeup.
Okay, so my next step is eye primer, and I use Emily Noel's favorite, the Milani eyeshadow primer. And I just put, you just need the tiniest bit. So I put that on, and I tend to go like up, I don't necessarily go all the way up to my eyebrow, but at least past the crease. Although my crease, I have hooded eyes, so my crease is... Talk about that later. So then, while I kind of like to let that set, so then I go in and do my blush. So I'm using this Tarte Color Wheel, which I love because this is great for travel. Because, you know, you have your warm blushes and your cool blushes.
I like that.
Yeah, I like it a lot too.
That's like every color you need.
Yeah, and this actually comes with, if you can see it, here we go.
Right.
Okay, right here. So this comes with some highlighters and lip bronzers, which you can see have never been used. So we're just going to go with this just kind of like rosy, dusty pink, and I just sort of sweep that. That's the way that
Get it, girl.
I should do it. I know you like blush. Yeah, so usually I would do that, and that looks fine. It looks maybe like I over-applied, but this is where my little blending step will come in handy. And then after that's when I would move on to my eyes.
Okay, go ahead and move on to your eyes.
Okay, so today we are going to use Dose of Colors Marvelous Mauves. That's what it looks like. So you can see it has light all the way to dark colors. So I would use this all over my lid, and then I would use that in the crease, and then that on the outer edge. So I have hooded eyes, and in fact, they're saggy here. So I sort of have issues, I think, with that outer V. I kind of do it, but I don't know that it's really correct. So I would just put this light color all over my eyelid, and then I would move on to my crease. That color, that color in the crease. So top it off. These shadows are a little powdery. So for me, what I typically do is try to go just a little above the crease, like in and above.
Yep.
Because I have hooded eyes, and then I would just sweep it like this. I kind of like to try to like carve out that crease and then blend up. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then I might go in and kind of like just blend that. And then I would take a small pencil brush and try to do an outer V. Basically what I would do is just sort of like focus the darker color on the outside of my eye. but I've heard, you know, the outer V or 7. So really what I would do is just kind of come in here, put that, lay that down, you know, kind of towards the lash line, and then maybe bring it up just slightly. And then I would take a blending brush and I would just sort of blend that out a little bit, and then also kind of blend the crease.
So that's where you'd stop with shadow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like right now the crease color actually looks not quite as blended as I might want it to. That would be
kind of where you would stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be the eye.
Well, I think I can show you a couple things that might help.
Okay.
Do you want to do liner real quick?
Yeah. I'm just going to use this Clinique quick liner for eyes. I love it. So I have hooded eyes, and I've always heard that you should, when you're doing liner for hooded eyes, you should try to keep the line as thin as possible. So I think I used to make that mistake a lot, and that was one thing that I had learned from YouTube, is that just try to make that line as thin as possible. So I just do a little line, and then I go in and I smudge, just blend it, smudge it so that it doesn't look so harsh.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, so I you know, my liner, I don't do a wing. I know you do the flick. I don't know if that would work on my eye shape because I have the saggy eyes over here. But that's what I would do for a liner and eyeshadow.
All right. You want to pop your mascara on real quick?
Sure. Don't laugh. I'm going to use a Marc Jacobs, what is this, Velvet Noir, which I've heard great things about, and I like it. It can get kind of clumpy. So I have naturally long lashes, but they're not very thick. But because my lashes are long and I like to really get in the bottom, I use this ridiculous tool. Have you ever seen this?
I have, but I didn't know it was for mascara. I thought it was like a powder, a guard.
I guess you could. Yeah, you could. You could use this under your eye, like if you're doing your...
I'm excited to see you use this thing. This contraption.
It's really embarrassing.
Can I Insta story this?
Yes. I just do this because if I don't, mascara just gets all over my eyelid, and then I have to wipe it away, and I'm messing up my eyeshadow. And so this for me is just more of a like time saver. So I put this like this, right down at the bottom, and then I can really get down there on the base of the lashes, and I'm not worrying about getting, so I do it like that, and then I'll leave it, and then I'll kind of come back. And then, oh, this is clumping something awful today.
Where'd you?
But I have a trick. So this is e.l.f. This is like $1.
Nice.
It's e.l.f. And what I do is, my other trick, because again, I have longer lashes, but they're kind of thin. So I like a really volumizing mascara, but I don't like it to be clumped. So I would just usually let that sit, and I would go in with my under eye highlighter. This was, I think, another Emily Noel trick. So I use this Milani brown eye pencil, and instead of using a shadow underneath my eyebrow, I use the matte side. It's like a highlighter, but one side has shimmer in it, and this side is just a matte. And I just go right under my brow like that.
I love that.
And then I just kind of blend it. And by that time, we let the mascara dry a little bit, and then I like cannot skip this step. I take a eyelash comb and I comb through the mascara, and that seems to help get rid of any clumps, you know, fan out the lashes. So
you got a process here, but look at those lashes.
A situation. This mascara to me is
A little
clumpy. Yeah, so sometimes if there's too many clumps, then I'll just sort of like press my fingers on it, and that seems to help. So that's what we do. And then, yeah, I would just let that dry, and then brush it off.
Okay, so just like Jessica, I also love the Milani primer, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on the other eye. I also use my finger to apply primer. I actually do take it all the way up to the brow, though.
Okay. Do you like you use the Revlon eye primer too, right?
I do, yeah. Oh, you know what? I tried it. I forgot to do your blush. We'll do that after.
Okay.
Nice. Okay, one thing that I do that Jessica did not do is I always set the eyelid with a little sheer powder. And I'm going to just use the powder that we used for your face, the Patrick Star.
Why?
So I like to do this step. I find that it just helps me, especially since I'm working with mattes. Mattes are a little harder to blend than like shimmer shadows are. So putting this is going to help me blend those shadows. It's also going to keep the shadow from like if I were to go in with a dark color and that primer was still wet and it hadn't set yet, it's just going to like stick that dark shadow. And it's going to make it really hard to blend. So when you're working with dark shades and matte shades, the blending can be tricky. So I'm going to set it with that. Now I'm going to use the same color you used in your crease, but the brush that I'm going to use is different. I think you use this brush for your crease.
I use that for my crease, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to use something a little fluffier and softer.
Okay.
This brush is pretty firm, so it does make your efforts of blending more difficult.
Okay.
So using something softer. Yeah. So I'm just going to get a little bit of it on the tip of the brush.
What brush is that?
It's the 224 by MAC.
Okay.
And I'm going to just kind of tap off any excess. And I'm going to have you open and just look straight ahead. So if you were doing your own makeup, you would be looking in the mirror. And I'm just going to, I always start in the center of the crease. And just like you said, I think you did a great job of explaining that you go right above your crease rather than just like inside your crease. So that way, when your eyes are open, you see that kind of halo of color peeking through. Now, one thing I'm doing a little bit different than you is I'm actually kind of pulling it out a little bit rather than down. Because this color is not so dark, I can do that. If this were a really dark color, I wouldn't necessarily, I'd follow the shape of your eye a little bit more. You could still extend it a little bit more out rather than going straight down, but
I always see like Sona and even the Kardashians, you know, their eyes just look so like
elongated.
Yeah, and I love that look. I just guess I don't really know how to replicate that with my, and I have an almond shape eye, but I feel like this situation is like, and the other thing I've noticed too is that some people's eyebrows, so I don't do any brows.
No, we're doing some brows today.
So that could be another thing. Like, do people bring their brows like down further, and then that helps to like elongate the eye?
Yeah, but that's kind of what we're doing.
Way
here.
better.
Yeah, this is kind of what we're doing here, but just a softer version of the Kim Kardashian eye or the Sona eye. You know?
Yeah, that I definitely prefer less glam.
Yeah,
I'm less glam.
Okay, so I also am going to take, so you went in right after, or so you applied this color all over the lid, the lightest, right?
I did, and then I did that as my crease, and then the darkest.
And then the darkest. Okay, so what I did so far is I've applied the lightest, the lighter one in your crease.
Okay. I'm
going to go back in with the one you used in your crease over it. But I'd like to start a little softer.
Okay.
Again, just so that it just looks more blended and just a little softer. And for this one, I'm going to concentrate it more on the outer corner. I'll bring it a little to the center, but this is basically just giving a little bit more depth, but I'm not completely covering everything I just did with that lighter shade. So kind of building gradually in terms of like lighter to darker is just going to make everything look more blended. For the dark one, I'm going to go in with the shade you use, and I'm going to use the same brush, use the pencil brush.
Okay. Just
like you, I'm going to create that V. So I'm going to start at the lower lash line and just kind of bring it up a little bit to meet that outer corner where I ended the shadow. And then right here, I'm going to create that V.
Okay. That's where I feel like I have issue. Like, I really don't, I want the darker eyeshadow on the outside of the eye, but I'm just not sure of the proper shape and placement for my eye shape.
Yeah, what I like to do is I like to always start here and pull it up. If you notice, I kind of used an upward motion. So that's kind of already lifting the eye a little bit.
Towards the outside of your eyebrow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of imagine a line like this, right? So I'm kind of, obviously I'm not taking it out there, but I'm following that line.
And then up into the crease or above the crease?
Into the crease. Really.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at me.
Yours is so much more blended and...
Well, and I think the key really is that I added that extra color. And I'm even going to go in now and I'm going to add this color, which is one that you didn't use. So I'm actually using all of the shades in here.
Oh, wow.
But because when I'm looking in the camera, I can still see this looks a little splotchy here. So I'm going to go in with the shade that's one shade lighter than the one I just used. And I'm going to just...
Yeah, 3 would be the maximum number of shades that I use just because I don't know how to do other...
It seems like it would be more work to use more colors, but really you're spending less time blending, so I think
that makes
kind
sense.
of a wash.
And I like that idea, yeah.
Yeah, and it just looks a little softer.
Oh, see, that looks way better.
Yay. Okay, and now I'm going to place the lighter color.
That's amazing. See, and I don't think I quite bring my crease up as high as you did.
Yeah, I do.
But
I bring it higher. You don't want to bring it too high with a dark color. You want to do it with a lighter color.
Yeah.
And so then I'm going to go with that light color you used, and I'm just going to press in the inner corner and center of your lid. Okay, and then I'm going to use the same product you used for your brow highlight. One of these. It's like the perfect brow highlight.
I know. I love it. It's you know, I don't ever use the shimmery side. I only use the matte. You can kind of almost like, you know, have you seen people use concealer under their brow to really like make a sharp?
Yep. Real clean brow. Now.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay, so for your liner, I'm going to use the same liner you did, but here's where we're going to tweak things a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to have you close, and I am going to start about in the center of your lid, and I too am going to create a real short line. When I get to the very outer corner, I'm going to make it a little bit thicker, and I'm going to pull it up a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm not following the natural eye line and going down. I'm kind of pulling it up a little bit. Okay, open.
Oh my gosh.
Now you can leave it like that, but I'm actually going to go over it with this tiny little brush that you brought. And I'm taking the darkest shadow in the palette right here. And I'm just going to go over that.
So are you doing that instead of like smudging it? Like that's how you smudge it?
Exactly, yeah. This is how I smudge it, and it's also going to soften it a little bit. So I really didn't bring eyeliner further than the center of your eyelash line. I really started it in the center and just... Okay, so I'm gonna...
That is amazing.
Yay! I love that reaction.
Oh my gosh. Look at the difference that made.
Yeah. And it's with products you already have.
That is amazing.
Okay, so I'm going to have you put your mascara on.
Okay.
Okay,
Ooh,
so
I'm excited. I've never done brows.
Just fill in like really just right here. And I'm using the NYX Micro Brow in Ash Brown. And my pressure is really light. I'm just kind of sketching. I'm not really like pressing hard, you know, and I'm not doing like one continuous line. I'm really just kind of gently sketching just to fill in a little bit. I think it does just kind of give it a little more finished look.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Do you see the difference?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. It's still your shape. It's still your shape. It just looks a little bit more refined and yeah.
Finished.
Complete. Okay, for blush, so she used this color here, Icon. We're going to use the same one. Oh, and bronzer. So Jessica does not do bronzer, so that is one thing we are going to do today.
Okay.
And I'm using the Hourglass Bronze Light Luminous Bronzer. This is one of my favorites, along with the Physicians Formula.
Beautiful.
It is really pretty. And I'm just using a big, fluffy brush.
Okay.
So I'm going to start back here, and I'm just going to kind of sweep it almost where I would put her contour, but I'm not really contouring the face because I'm using a warmer shade. You know, contour is always cooler. And I'm not, you know, my brush is allowing it to be a really natural, soft application where contour is going to be a little bit more definition than I'm creating here. And I like to follow the hairline up here too, a little bit. So what bronzer does is it warms up the face, it creates a little bit more definition, but it also kind of highlights the face. Even though we're not using a highlighter here or anything, it's going to make that area look brighter because we're putting something a little darker next to it. So for blush, I'm going to use the same blush that Jessica used, but I'm going to change the brush. She used this brush by Real Techniques, and I'm going to use something a little bit smaller so that we can concentrate the color a little bit better.
That's smart.
So I'm using a 168 by MAC. It's a contoured angle small blush brush. I'm going to take the same shade she used, which is Icon, and kind of tap my finger and smile. So I'm going to concentrate the color on the apples of her cheek, but then I'm going to sweep down and up a little bit.
I'm never sure about blush placement. I mean, obviously I want everything to be like lifted.
Yeah, so I'm going down, but I am kind of moving the brush up a little bit, but I'm not creating like a real harsh, like lifted blush, you know?
That definitely just makes my cheek look, this is way more defined than that.
I love you.
Oh, Lord, why didn't anyone tell me?
I love you. Oh, I miss you. Okay, so
yeah, that looks so much better.
this is fun. And it's the same product.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Yay.
It's pretty amazing.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so you go ahead and get started with your lips.
Okay, and then I would do my lips. So today I'm going to use the L'Oreal Color Riche Matte in, old eyes. Mastermind.
Oh, that's cute.
So I'm doing a half a lip. Oh, okie doke. Here we go. So I just line, I have thin lips. I just line that. Usually what I do is line it and kind of fill it in. Seems to help, you know, the lip product stay on longer. And then today I'm using this Milani, the Amore Shine liquid lip in Crush. I really like this. So I just can't do a matte lip. I have thin lips and they're old and they have texture and they get dry and oh, it just sucks the life out of them. Mattes do. So I prefer
some gloss.
A glossy lip. So yeah, I prefer a shiny lip.
Let me see the lips you did. Oh, they look great. Fantastic. I'm really not going to change a thing. And I think the colors that you used are perfect. I love this liner.
It's good.
It is good.
It's good.
It's called Color Rich Matte.
Mm-hmm. I think they're fairly new.
Okay.
It's real creamy.
Yeah, really creamy and very pigmented. And I agree, filling the lip in is good, especially if you just wear a gloss or like a real sheer lipstick, because it is going to keep the color on longer. And it's going to keep you from having that like lined lip look, you know?
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
It's like totally 90s.
So I was about to say that.
Literally in the 90s, I'm not exaggerating, I used a brown eyeliner as a lip liner.
This is a really pretty lip. Beautiful. Yeah, I didn't really change a thing about your lips.
Your side looks bigger though.
I did.
Like,
I guess I did kind of. So I didn't really line outside of your lip line, but I lined right, like I kind of laid the pencil on the very upper tip of your lip line. All right, my friend.
Well, we can clearly see that this is my side.
I think you did a good job.
And that's the professional.